I'm Amie.
I'm Matt. This is Jagger. And that's Blue Beauty.
We were living in Maui, Hawaii. Matt and I met in Nicaragua working at a surf camp. I lived in Oregon, he lived in California when we weren't traveling, and we decided to move to Maui, Hawaii. And basically, as soon as we started to set up our lives there, like, well, we gotta go traveling. That's what we do. We put together a list of all the places we wanted to visit, talked about like why we wanted to go to those places. It kind of just was natural for us to say, well, like, let's do a big road trip. We both like to surf, we like beaches, we like warm weather, and we decided that we were gonna go do the rest of the Americas in North America. So drive down to Panama and back. We don't have a lot of money. We saved and worked for about 3.5 years, but it was important to us to not spend all of our money on a vehicle. Our main requirement was to be able to sit up inside the vehicle as well, and Matt was insistent that we keep the surfboards inside, hoping to not draw too much attention to us and hopefully keep them from theft.
I picked the Toyota T100 because I knew that we could get parts all through Mexico and Central America. It's kind of like a random mash together of different trucks that Toyota came out with. The whole suspension is the same as the Toyota pickup or Toyota Hilux. It's probably the most popular vehicle throughout like Mexico, Central America. And then the engine and driveline is all the same as the Generation 1 Tacoma, which is also pretty popular down there. It was offered in Prados, which they're marketed here as the Land Cruiser 100 series.
This is Blue Beauty. She is a Toyota T100 four-wheel drive. These are the solar panels. It's 300 watts of solar power. We intentionally did not mount them to the roof because we wanted to be able to park in the shade as much as possible while we were traveling through Mexico and Central America. And over here we have an ARB awning. And this is basically our kitchen and our living room. It's like having a studio apartment. We've got a king camp table, and even though it is like a little tricky to set up, it's really sturdy. We've used it for over 506 days, and it's still holding up just as strong as the day we got it. We have a Camp Chef Everest model stove. And it's been great, it still works, although all those days on the ocean have rusted the hinges apart, so you know, it still does its job. It's a little loved. And then we have two boxes that consist of everything that you would have in a kitchen. This is our pantry. And it's well stocked right now because we were planning for 5 days out here in Joshua Tree. This is everything else, and the stove does fit in here. It's all of our pots, pans, coffee makers, silverware, everything. We purchased these boxes at the Container Store, and they are waterproof and they are ant-proof, unless you leave them open, and then they're not ant-proof. We actually leave all of this stuff outside, I'd say 95% of the time. We have some locks that we string through the boxes, and then we string it through the table and through the stove and our propane tank. And then that way when we go to sleep at night, we don't have to worry about somebody coming by and taking something from us. Our propane tank is a 10-pound propane tank, so that's half of the normal size, and it lasts us on an average of 2 months. We have these chairs. I love these chairs. They're the old Hillinox, the original folding chair, and they fold into this little tiny bag. We installed a light here, and this runs off of our battery and solar power, and this is our outside kitchen light. And inside here is the switch, and we designed it so that if we did hear something in the middle of the night, we could just turn it on from inside the camper while we're sleeping. And fortunately for us, that never happened except for some pigs one time. We did modify the tires. We bought some new ones on the road. We got a flat, and we knew we needed some all-terrain, so they're BFG all-terrain tires. This is also hooked up to our solar power, but these are two 12-volt outlets. So we call the truck Blue Beauty, but I call the camper specifically Frankenstein. She is a regular camper shell that we cut the top off and then bought 5mm plywood and fiberglassed it to the top of it.
All right, this is the extended cab of our T100, and it's really hard to find these things with bucket seats. We actually had a bench in here to begin with, and it was a split bench. So this is the stock side of the seat over here. This is out of some random truck. A friend of my brother's gave it to us, so I made some mounts and kind of made it work. And then we made our own center console. And the whole idea was really just to maximize storage. So in our center console, we take a folder. This has all our documents and stuff we need for the truck and for us and for the dog for crossing borders or if the police pull us over.
There's a pretty solid tactic that we use for not paying bribes, and it's understanding what the actual law is. And in most of these countries, they're going to take your driver's license, and I think that that's very scary for most Westerners. They're supposed to take the driver's license to a police station. You go to the police station or a bank that the police station tells you, and you pay that fine. And then you get your driver's license back. It's the law. So if a police officer tries to pull you over and tell you how bad you are for whatever you supposedly did, you just have to insist that they write you a ticket. It sounds weird to bag a cop to write you a ticket, but we never got a ticket written. When you insist on that ticket, they give up. The last time I got pulled over, he asked for 2,000 pesos. That's over $100. Fines are not that much down there. Now he is in a situation where he can't write the actual ticket because then we would know he was trying to bribe us. So they try to say that you just pay the fine there, but that's not true. So if you want to get out of bribes, do it legally.
We got seat covers with pockets in the back, so you can just shove stuff in there. So you have like our shopping bags that we reuse. Amie's got her raincoat in there. Teepee, gotta have that handy. Most of the toilets down south don't have toilet paper in them, so you stop at a gas station or something, you gotta have your own. These are road triangles, legally required down south, so you have to have them handy for when the cops stop you. You can show that you have your triangles. This is just a cooler, so we actually make ice in our freezer, which we have back in the camper. All my tools are actually underneath this seat. There's like a stock storage space down there that I chose to leave. Fire extinguisher at the ready. That's also legally required down south, so you gotta have one of those. And then this is the dog bed. We removed half of the bench seat that's normally in the back of the extended cab and built this box. And inside there, we got a bunch more storage. So we got our first aid kit, toiletries, and our computers and games and stuff in there. We have a little separated compartment, and that's where we keep our batteries. So we have two Optima Yellow Top 75 amp hour batteries wired together. The 150 amp hours is sufficient when we're in areas like this where it's not as hot. When we were down south, the fridge runs a lot more, and so we were like constantly monitoring it, trying to like make sure we had enough. And it was still enough if we had good sun. If we had like a cloudy day or something, we'd end up having to run the truck. So I have the alternator wired into the house batteries as well, so we have that backup option. So this is our indoor living space. Basically consists of a bed. The majority of the space inside the truck we chose to use as storage. Up here we have 6 surfboards. We got a little rack over here. I have a spear gun and a couple of fishing rods. Just a dry bag up here. That's kind of our clothes that are handy. And then we have another one that's our dirty clothes. So the clothes kind of come out of here and into there. And our fan, which plugs into our outlets that we have down here along the fridge. One thing that we did was handy is the awning on the outside. We attached it and put a bunch of caulking in the seam, so it works kind of like a gutter. So we can actually leave this window open even if you have heavy rains. We left the majority of our space for storage, and everything that we have set up all goes down here. We also have 15 gallons of water that are stored in 3 separate jerry cans. This one is our main jerry can. It's a lifesaver, and it has a built-in water filter. So you pump it up to pressurize it, and then you can fill things up with a tap down there. So we filtered all of our drinking water while we were down south. We've got a lugaloo. That's our toilet if we need it, but we don't really use it that often. We're generally either somewhere that has facilities or we're far enough removed that we just dig a hole. So we use it as storage mostly. Great for cooking on top of campfires. And this is what we call our toy box. So we've got my day pack for hiking, the rest of the spearfishing and snorkeling gear, basically just all the stuff that we like to do. Keep it all in plastic bins so it's easy to like move around, keep organized. And because we do a fair amount of four-wheel driving and stuff, it helps keep things clean. Like if we cross a deep river or something, they'll actually get water into the bed through the little like drain holes. So this way stuff still stays dry. This is our refrigerator and freezer, and I built a slide for it. So it can come out, and that way it's easily accessible from our kitchen space. And this side is our freezer, and this side is our fridge. And it's the combined space is a 66 liter. This little section just slides out. And that's where we keep the bulk of our clothing. We have this thing which is pretty handy. It's ARB Mosquito Net, and it just slides right into the awning. It's a little bit of an extra setup, but it can make the difference between liking a camp spot and needing to leave. This is my side of the bed. So when the fridge slides in, it kind of becomes part of my bed. So this is my space. Amie gets to have the nice cushy bed, keeps her happier.
We started out by getting a book. This was a game changer for us called Don't Go There, You'll Die. They have done the entire Panamerican, and the first series is Mexico and Central America. The word overland was also a game changer. We didn't realize that we were going to be overlanders. That's, I guess, what the rest of the world calls people who drive across multiple borders for extended periods of time. Other resources that I learned along the road was there's Facebook groups. So if you just type in Panamerican into Facebook, Google, you can ask to be invited into the groups, and they talk about crossing the Darien Gap, current information on borders, and then you have the app iOverlander. And it was developed by the same people who wrote that book. Everything from borders, campsites, where to get water, where there's propane refill stations. It's an incredibly helpful app, and people are constantly updating it. Wiki Overland, that's a site online that you can go and check border crossings, the paperwork you need, how long are you allowed to keep the vehicle in, how long is your visa permit going to be, that kind of stuff.
And I used Expedition Portal, it's a forum. It's a lot of Americans on it, but there is like a decent international group. I felt like I was getting all right information from there as well. With all of it, you have to kind of find different sources and cross-reference things. Less is more. Less stuff equals more space, and it's nice to have extra space.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
If you'd like to join us on our travels through Mexico and Central America,
You can head over to our YouTube channel, The Traveling Together Journal.
you also find links there for our Instagram and Facebook pages.
Thank you.